In today's rebuild, we dive into the turbulent story of one of Italy's footballing giants, a club that has experienced both triumph and turmoil. Today, we look at Juventus, a name synonymous with success, is facing a period of unprecedented challenges that have left fans questioning the future of this footballing powerhouse. As we explore the downfall of Juventus today, we will navigate through the financial storm that has cast a shadow over the club's illustrious history. However, that is not it. They have a bitter pill of Champions League final heartbreak that has become a defining narrative on the continental stage and something that I would love to address today. So let's dive in, become Juventus manager, and see what we can do with one of Italy's most successful clubs. Oh yeah, and if you like the rebuild content, don't forget to like today's video and let me know down in the comments who you would like to see me rebuild next. Jumping into the game, the first thing you notice at Juventus is the lack of European football in season number 1. This is largely down to the 10-point deduction that they suffered last season for some financial mismanagement. The next thing you need to look at is the £100 million worth of net debt that they are currently in. However, when you look at the players at the club, there is actually some decent talent here. Key men for us this season will be big Serbian Dusan Vlahovic and Italian forward Federico Chiesa, who we will be hoping can rediscover previous form after damaging his cruciate ligaments last year. This partnership will actually be leading the line for us as we will be using GYR's Drax tactic, because when in Italy, it's kind of rude to not use a 5 at the back tactic. I used the real world database to set this save up, so we currently have veteran Leonardo Bonucci at the club, but he will not be here for too much longer. Competitions wise, we have just the 2 domestic honours to fight for, and in Serie A, we are predicted to finish in 4th with title odds of 13-2. Finishing in 4th would actually see us return to the Champions League, but as always, I just want that little bit more. I will start off by talking about our performance in season number 1 in the Coppa Italia. We entered the competition in the 3rd round where an Andrea Cambiasso strike was enough to send us past Salernitana. This sent us into the quarterfinals where we took on Fiorentina in Turin, but were largely disappointing as the boys in purple only had 2 shots on target in the whole game, but won the tie 2-1. I was very annoyed at this performance. Whilst the Coppa Italia would have been nice, our bread and butter had to be the Serie A, where barring an initial wobble at home to Cagliari, we were largely dominant. We put on an unbeaten run of 18 games where we picked up 48 points from a 54 available, which spanned from September all the way through to January, which pretty much put us in that title fight. This was largely down to goals from Vlahovic, who was hitting the back of the net on a regular basis and went on to finish the season with 22 goals in Serie A. However, things in season 1 weren't all sunshine and rainbows because at the end of the season, we just completely fell apart. We were flying high at the top of the table until losses to Roma, Sassuolo and Fiorentina, and then on the final day of the season, the boys lost 2-1 on the road to Verona, which allowed Inter Milan to rise from the depths and snatch the title away from us on the final match day. We finished the season with 86 points and have qualified for the Champions League, but considering the manner that we threw the title away, I couldn't help but be a little bit frustrated. Going into season 2, we have a transfer budget of £27 million, but I checked the finances and the club's debt has skyrocketed as the club has seemingly taken out a £56 million mortgage. In this summer window, I tried to generate some additional funds and actually made £50 million in player sales. Firstly, Moise Kean joined Premier League Fulham for £25 million, and both Arta and Mattia Perin departed for Saudi Arabia for £16 million and £7.5 million respectively. On the incoming side of things, we spent a total of £60 million on 4 players to improve this squad. The largest slice of that was on wingback Sasha Bowie, who joined us from Galatasaray for £23 million to give us a better option on that right-hand side. To replace Arthur in midfield, we signed a serial winner in Dani Ceballos from Real Madrid for £20 million. And it cannot just be me who is surprised to see that he is just 28 years old, 2 years into a save. We replaced Perrin with young Italian goalkeeper Elia Caprelli, who was a go-to signing on FM23, and it will be my first look at him in this year's game. And finally, we added German defender Leandro Morgala to the mix as a decent squad player, joining us from Red Bull Salzburg for £7.5 million. Looking at the team going into Season 2, not much has changed with our best 11 to be honest, but we were so close last season, I don't actually think a lot needs to change. Season 2 sees our return to the Champions League, and we will also take part in the Italian Super Cup, where we will take on Napoli in the semi-final. The pre-season odds make for some tough reading, as we're predicted to finish in 4th again, and this time have longer title odds than last season of 9-1. Let's see what we can do. Season 2 marked our return to the Champions League, where we were drawn alongside Slavia Prague, Inter Milan, Feyenoord, Monaco, Ajax, Manchester City, Shakhtar, and Real Sociedad in the league phase. Our results were hit and miss at best, but we did manage to scrape together 11 points and qualify for the knockout stages of the tournament by finishing in 19th. This set up an all-Italian tie with Inter Milan. They beat us in the league phase, but we were able to take control of the tie in Turin with goals from Locatelli, Milik, and Chiesa to take a 3-1 lead north to Milan. However, to be honest, I'd rather not talk about this second leg because it didn't go according to plan. Goals from Lautaro Martinez bookended a disappointing 4-0 abomination to see us crash out of the Champions League. In the Italian Super Cup, we managed to progress in the semi-final, hammering Napoli with goals from Vlahovic, Bremer, Timothy Weah, and Moretti, but this set up yet another tie with Inter Milan in the final. Inter opened up a quick 2-0 lead, but this time we actually showed a little bit of guts and a little bit of fight to pull the game level through a Vlahovic penalty and a nice long-range strike from Kostic. Extra time was unable to settle this tie, so it went to penalty shootout. However, Jan Sommer was able to save penalties from Nicolo Fagioli and Timothy Weah to give Joachim Correa the chance to win the trophy for Inter, and he did just that, sending Wojciech Szczesny the wrong way. I guess at this point it's 3-0 to Inter in this rebuild. In Serie A, we had a wobbly start to our league campaign, suffering defeats from AC Milan, Atalanta, and Napoli, but after that we went on a remarkable run, smashing opposition aside left and right. Moving towards the end of the season, we were involved in a head-to-head shootout with Napoli, and I watched as we suffered 2 defeats in our final 2 games, including another final day defeat to 10-man Verona. This time, however, we were able to come out on top of the league with 84 points, tipping Napoli to the Serie A title by just 2 points. Chiesa and Vlahovic were the top 2 goal scorers in the league, and Inter were nowhere to be seen at the top of the table, finishing low down in 7th. Let's make that 3-1. We only have one more competition to talk about this season, and that is the Coppa Italia. First up, it was Sampdoria in the 3rd round, and we were able to sweep them aside without ever really getting out of second gear. Progression here set up a tough tie as we would take on Erik ten Hag's Lazio. Federico Chiesa opened the scoring for the old lady, but who else but my man Ciro Immobile pulled Lazio level in first half injury time. With the final whistle looming, we were awarded a penalty where Polish international Milik stepped up and showed huge cojones, slotting past Provedel and sending us into the semi-finals. The semi-finals in the Coppa Italia are played over 2 legs, and this season we were going to take on Roma, and we would be at home first. Leandro Paredes opened the scoring for Roma, but Timothy Weah pulled us level, but still left us with a lot to do with a trip to the nation's capital. The second leg was a very cagey tie, but we were able to find a way to break the deadlock through Federico Chiesa to set up an Italian Cup final against Atalanta. This game had everything. Both teams were playing 5 at the back because Italy, goals aplenty, and a red card for both teams. Atalanta opened the scoring from the spot as Charles de Ketelaere fired past Szczesny, but Bremer pulled us level with this nice header. Just before half-time, we worked the ball to Nicolo Fagioli, who let fly, but the ball struck Martin Daradai on its way through and found its way past Jan Muzzo to send us into the lead. And then, in the second half, all hell broke loose. 10 minutes into the second half, we were reduced to 10 men as Weston McKennie cut down Matteo Ruggeri on the wing, but the disciplinary issues did not end there. Then, just 10 minutes later, 𝗕𝗨𝗬𝗘 didn't like playing with that man advantage. First of all, he fouled Timothy Weah on our right hand side, and then from the resulting free kick, fouled him again to receive his second yellow card and his marching orders. In this 10v10 fight, we managed to hold on to secure the club's first Coppa Italia since 2021. So Season 2 saw us capture a league and cup double. But is that something we can retain at the top of Italian football? Somehow the board managed to magic a transfer budget of £56 million out of nowhere, so let's get to work on spending it. This summer we were able to generate even more funds in the transfer market as Nicolo Ravella joined Lazio for £14.5 million, and he was then followed to Rome by his teammate Luca Pellegrini for £3.4 million. First up on the incomings, we brought Brahim Diaz back to Italy, joining from Real Madrid on a free transfer once his contract has expired. Next, we added Croatian midfielder Luka Susic from Red Bull Salzburg for £11.25 million. And finally, we splashed the cash, bringing in Barcelona starlet Gavi for £65 million, and I'm really hoping he can rejuvenate our midfield. However, we are at the start of the season. We're about to have game week 1, but I've got a very big problem at this team. Our star striker, Dusan Vlahovic, has no interest in signing a new contract due to the interest in him. So I think we're going to have to sell him, so I guess we're going to have to see what that looks like going into deadline day. As things stand, this is our best 11 going into the first game of the season, but I feel it won't look like this come the end of the year. We will be taking part in the same 4 competitions as last season, but I'll be hoping for a much better showing in the Champions League. Despite winning the Serie A title Before we get talking about season number 3 and how we actually did on the field, I need to recap you guys on the Dusan Vlahovic transfer fiasco. I mentioned earlier that he did not want to sign a new deal, and on deadline day he joined Liverpool for £75 million. I'm so glad he swapped playing week in and week out for Juventus for sitting on the bench at Liverpool, considering he only made 4 starts all season. Don't worry, I'm not salty about it, I promise. We then used that money to bring in Italian striker Gianluca Scamacca from Atalanta for a whopping £60 million. Scamacca did fantastically well for us, netting 35 goals in all competitions, but how well did the team perform? We started the season in Serie A really well with 6 wins from our opening 7 games and only conceded 2 goals, but then suffered silly losses to Udinese and Cremonese. However, the difference this season was how strong we finished the campaign, putting together an unbeaten run for the final 2 months of the season to lift back-to-back Serie A titles. This season we matched last season's points tally of 84 points, but won the league by 4 this season, beating Stefano Pioli's AC Milan to the title. The 2025-26 season also saw us attempt to defend our Coppa Italia trophy, and we opened the title defense with a 2-0 victory against Udinese, a team who we've really struggled against in this rebuild. That result set up a huge fixture against Inter Milan in the quarterfinals. Luckily for us, this game was in Turin, so we didn't have to take them on in Milan, and I think the FM gods were definitely shining down on us in this particular game. First up, Wojciech Szczesny saved a Hakan Çalhanoğlu penalty in the 7th minute, making me really think that we were going to win this game. But that miss didn't deter Inter, who scored just 5 minutes later through this DeMarco free kick. In the second half, Lautaro Martinez made it 2-0 for Inter, and I thought we were cooked. But Gianluca Scamacca thought otherwise. In the 93rd minute, we were awarded a penalty where Scamacca sent the keeper the wrong way and went to grab the ball to get the game restarted. And less than 60 seconds later, he had the ball in the back of the net again, this time latching on to Samuel Illing's pass and firing past Jan Sommer. So those 2 goals sent the game into extra time, where we waited until the dying seconds to snatch the lead with Gavi rifling home from the edge of the area. I guess a result in this knockout competition makes it 3-2. Inter are still winning, but I'm definitely clawing them back. The semi-finals threw up the other team in Milan as our opposition, and just like last season, the first leg at home ended in a draw, leaving us it all to do in Milan. And just like last season, we were able to get the job done, picking up a 3-2 win at the San Siro with goals from Cambiasso, McKenna, and that man Scamacca. This sets up a second Coppa Italia final appearance in a row, and this time we take on Lazio. This was a cagey game, but again, deep into the fixture, we pulled out the winner thanks to 𝗕𝗨𝗘𝗚 curling past 𝗕𝗨𝗬𝗘 in the 90th minute. So we secured back-to-back Italian league and cup titles, but it wasn't all sunshine and rainbows for us at Juventus this season. In the Supercoppa, we progressed past Atalanta in the semis before getting ripped apart by 𝗕𝗨𝗬𝗘𝗓 and Napoli in the final to prevent the clean sweep of Italian competitions. And finally, we had the Champions League, where we entered in the league phase, of course, where we came up against Shakhtar, Barcelona, Ajax, FC Copenhagen, Atletico Madrid, Bayern Munich, Real Sociedad, and Club Brugge. This season we performed much better, picking up 16 points in total and finishing the league phase 6th in the table and going straight into the round of 16. So that was already one stage better than last year. Here we faced German opposition in the face of Dortmund, and we'd faced the yellow wall first. 𝗕𝗨𝗬𝗘 opened the scoring for us on the road, but 𝗕𝗪𝗡 was on hand to level the scores just 8 minutes later. However, in the second half, we bagged 2 goals in 2 minutes to take a nice 3-1 lead back to Turin. Dortmund had to attack in this game, and we were able to pick them apart, with goals coming in from 𝗕𝗪𝗏, Gavi, and a brace from 𝗕𝗨𝗬𝗘 to see us win 4-2 on the night and 7-3 on aggregate. Onwards to the quarter-finals we go. The Champions League draw puts us up against Manchester United, who are now managed by Zinedine Zidane, so I knew this was going to be fun. This time we were at home first, and United hit us with a sucker punch as youngster Kobbie Mainoo scored the only goal of the game in the 85th minute, leaving us with lots to do at Old Trafford. And sadly for us, it did prove a step too far this season, as United put us to the sword, winning 5-2 on the night, with that consolation goal coming from 𝗕𝗨𝗘𝗚 and 𝗕𝗪𝗏. So Season 3 looks a lot like Season 2, a league and cup double, but disappointment elsewhere. We again have a transfer budget of £54 million to improve this team for a Champions League push, but having only been here one season, Gianluca 𝗕𝗪𝗏 is now wanted by Manchester City. So this could be a pretty fun window as well. This summer we had a huge changing of the guard in a very key position, which a key man has held at Juventus over the years. It's the man in between the sticks. A 36-year-old Wojciech Szczęsny departed the club on a free transfer, joining rivals Fiorentina of all teams, and he was replaced by young French shot-stopper Guilherme Restes, who joined from Toulouse for £19 million. In defence, we strengthened by bringing in big Ivorian Ousmane Diomande from Sporting. He really allows us to step up in that position and will be a handful alongside Bremer. He joined for £36 million. And finally, a familiar face returned as we brought Luca Pellegrini back to the club from Lazio to add more competition in that left wing-back spot. Diomande and Restes give us a new look at the back, and we managed to survive the interest in 𝗕𝗪𝗏 so far, so he's ready to lead the line and Gavi represent the old lady. Season 4 started just like Season 3 did in Serie A, as we romped through the rest of the league, winning 28 of our 38 fixtures on the way to a 90-point season. We did win our 3rd Serie A title in a row, but we were very much pushed all the way by Inter, beating them to the title by 3 points. Also, good news from the last 2 seasons, Serie A is now the 3rd ranked league in Europe, having passed the Bundesliga. However, sadly for me, this is where our success ended this season. The Supercoppa went exactly the same way as it has done every single season in this rebuild. We beat our semi-final opposition in Lazio thanks to goals from Fabio Moretti, only to lose to AC Milan in the final, with Rafael Leão scoring the decisive goal. Our defense of the Coppa Italia didn't go much better either. We scraped past Monza in the 3rd round with a 1-0 win. This sets up a quarter-final tie at home against Napoli, where 𝗕𝗪𝗏 cancelled out Inacio's opener, but Napoli then scored a long-range strike to send us out of the cup. And finally, in the Champions League, we were drawn alongside Feyenoord, Besiktas, Rangers, Real Madrid, FC Copenhagen, Athletic Bilbao, Ajax and Barcelona in the league phase. We started the campaign very well, picking up early points, securing our pathway into the top 8, where we finished the table on 17 points. This set up a round of 16 tie with Portuguese champions Porto. We were on the road first, and despite taking the lead through Federico Chiesa, Porto battled back with 2 goals in the final 15 minutes to take the lead in the tie. Luckily for us, Chiesa would not be beaten there, as back in Turin he scored a remarkable second half hat-trick to see us win the game 3-1 on the night and secure a 4-3 aggregate victory. The UCL gods were not shining down on us for the draw, as we ended up having a tie with Real Madrid. The first leg was at the Bernabeu, where we took the lead through Weston McKennie, but his goal was cancelled out by who else but Jude Bellingham just before half-time. In the second half, we conceded one of the most ridiculous goals I've seen in Football Manager, as Restes dropped behind his goal line to pick up the ball, but it rolled over to put us 2-1 behind in the tie. The second leg was almost a carbon copy of the first, as we took the lead, this time through Chiesa, only to see the goal cancelled out again by Jude Bellingham. And sadly, that was how the game finished, with us exiting the competition 3-2 on aggregate because of that goal. I think that we've proved that Juventus are back to being the best team in Italy, but the Champions League was a step a little too far for me this time. Can you do better? If you want to pick up this save, you can do. The save files will be posted on my Patreon right now. You can go and get your hands on them. And if you just want to watch more FM24 rebuild content, check out this playlist. It's all the rebuilds we've done on this year's game.